In Unit 12.3, we're going to wrap up our theories of emotion, we're going to wrap up our theories of motivation. Alright, so we talked about physiological motives. Now we're going to be talking about another basic drive that we have, the sex drive. Alright, so there's this guy who's pictured here. His name's Alfred Kinsey, and he did some groundbreaking research on how sex motivates us. And he developed the study of sexology as a result. It's a study of how sex motivates individuals and impacts behaviors and mental processes. Now, he's very, very controversial. Why is he so controversial? Because he actually did real experiments with sex. What he would do is he would get his professor's assistants, and they would go up in his attic, and he would actually record them having sex in different positions. Very, very controversial. On top of that, he fabricated a lot of his work. He based a lot of his theories on just a couple subjects, and he applied them to the entire global population. This guy has largely been discredited, and so as a result, we're going to move on. Another theory of motivation is called the general adaptation theory, and it was developed by Hans Seil, in his study on stress. The body adapts to stress in 3 stages: alarm, resistance, and exhaustion. When you're first alarmed of a situation, you're going to feel that adrenaline rush. You're going to feel the release of epinephrine in your system. All right? So, for instance, let's say you come to school in the morning and your friend says, "Hey, did you study for the test today?" You're like, "What? There's a test today?" And you start freaking out. Well, that's phase 1, alarm. And so for the rest of the day until you get to that class, you're going to experience resistance. This is where you try to cope with this newly acquired stress. Maybe you're just going to freak out. Maybe you're going to skip the rest of your classes so you can go to the library and study. But this phase is going to last a long time until you've burned up so much energy fixating on this stressful whatever it is, that you finally reach stage 3, which is exhaustion, where your reserve energy is just depleted and you just feel tired and exhausted as a result. And again, this is called general adaptation theory. Another theory of motivation is called arousal theory, and this theory states that different individuals perform better at different levels of arousal, and that every individual seeks to find its optimum level. So think about thrill seekers versus homebodies. Some people gain their optimal level of arousal just by watching a movie or playing video games. For other people, that type of stimulation isn't stimulating enough, so they need to go out and go skydiving, or they need to go to they need to get on a roller coaster and do something like that. Does anyone recognize this guy here? His name's Travis Pastrana. If you remind me, I'll show you an awesome video in class of him jumping out of an airplane without a parachute on. What motivates someone to do something like that? Arousal theory. Motivation at work. Flow is the intrinsic motivation that enables full conscious focus, resulting in maximum work efficiency. If you have a good flow to your presentation, or if you have a good flow to your studying habits, then you have intrinsic motivation that is enabling you to hone your focus and be more efficient. You want to have flow with industrial organizational psychology. This is the use of psychological concepts and methods to maximize potential in the workplace environment and to maximize productivity. Subfields of industrial organizational psychology are personnel psychology. This is the field of psychology that focuses on employee recruitment, selection, placement, training, appraisal, and development. Think about Google. Think about how they recruit their personnel and all the work that they put into finding the most creative, innovative minds for their corporation. Another subfield of informational organizational psychology, or industrial organizational psychology, is organizational psychology. And this examines organizational influences on worker satisfaction and productivity. Theories of work motivation. There's theory X and theory Y. In theory X, workers are inherently lazy and naturally don't want to work. This requires close supervision where employees often use threats or coercion as motivators. So for instance, if someone is working on an assembly line, which is a really repetitive, low demanding job, a low physically demanding and low mentally demanding job, they might their motivation might diminish because, like, hey, I'm just doing the same thing over and over and over again, and because of that, their productivity will diminish. Their boss might threaten to fire them, or the boss might offer them a raise if they raise their productivity. Theory Y states that workers are self-motivated and generally want to be successful. They develop an engaging work environment as well as an environment of trust. So again, I bring up Google. All right, Google is going to hire people who are intrinsically motivated right off the bat because they want people who are creative, who are go-getters, and who will take initiative. And so for that reason, Google employees are given several hours each week just to do whatever they want, just to work on something, just to be innovative, to create something new. And as a result, Google is one of the most innovative corporations in the world today. So Theory X and Theory Y are both applicable, but probably to different vocations and different situations. And that's it.